For Bar Mitzvah, our youngest. Oh my goodness. Moshe Ariyeh. Without any further ado, I'm going to give the mic over to him. He should say his drasha.
Good evening, parents, family, friends, and guests, and welcome to my Bar Mitzvah. I especially welcome the BaYom as well as the distinguished Rabbanim who are here this evening. These are the people the Gemara tells us who do their best to show me and my friends the road to Olam Haba. I'm going to share with you tonight the same drasha my father delivered many years ago at his Bar Mitzvah. It was written by Rabbi Chaim Samson, who was Rosh Yeshiva of TA at that time. It was in Yiddish and had to be memorized and recited by heart. This time it has been translated and adapted to English, so do not worry. I want to speak tonight about the subject of Hesach Hadas, which means doing a mitzvah without consciously thinking about the fact that you're doing the mitzvah during the whole time you're performing that mitzvah. There are 9 mitzvahs in Shas where the Gemara says that if you do not consciously think about the mitzvah while you are performing it, the mitzvah does not count and you have to do it all over again. First is Trumas V'Kachim. The Torah says that if you have Truma but do not take care of it to make sure it does not become Tameh, if you aren't constantly aware of the dangers of it becoming Tameh, if you aren't constantly checking that it's still Tahar, the Truma is Pasul. Same thing for Kachim, the meats and fats of the Karbanos. If you are not constantly on guard against Truma, the Karban becomes Pasul. In other words, Hesach Hadas makes Truma and Kachim Pasul. The second is man. If a person is not being constantly on guard against coming into contact with something Tameh, if he lets his mind wander and is not thinking about whether he touched something Tameh, or whether he may have been in a room with a dead body, then that person is not allowed to eat Kachim. He's not allowed to eat Karbanos. The third is Taharos, things that are Tahar. If you own things that are Tahar, you are obligated to constantly make sure that they are not touched by things that are Tameh or by people who are Tameh. If you do not constantly have this in mind, they are considered Tameh. The fourth is Paraduma. If the Kohen who shechs the Paraduma, or if those who burn it do not constantly have in mind that they are performing the mitzvah of Paraduma and making sure the cow and its ashes do not come in contact with something Tameh, then the cow and its ashes are pasul. They may not be used. The fifth is Meichatos, the Paraduma water. This is the water you mix with the ashes to sprinkle on the person who has touched the dead body. The Torah says that if you do not constantly have this in mind, that the water should not come in contact with something Tameh, the water becomes pasul and you can't use it. The sixth is Kiddush Yadayim V'Raglayim, which means the Kohen in the Beis HaMikdash has to wash his hands and feet every time he enters the Beis HaMikdash to do the avodah. After he washes them, he must constantly be on guard to make sure they do not touch anything dirty or tameh. If he daydreams, he has pasul and he has to wash it again. The seventh is Netilas Yadayim, washing your hands before you eat. If you wash and then say, wait an hour before making a motzi, you have to wash again. Unless you are constantly on guard against your hands to not touch anything dirty or tameh, such as your shoes. The eighth is the meal itself. As we know, if you make a motzi, you do not have to make brachos on the food during the meal. But that is only if you constantly remember the original motzi which you made in order to cover all the other foods in the meal. If you forget about the original motzi, you have to start making brachos on the different foods you eat in the meal. The ninth involves davening at brachos, at least some of the time. For example, if one forgets to say Ya'alev on Rosh Chodesh and Shmona Esrei, does he have to start over? Well, according to Yerushalmi and the Magen Avram, if he was no longer aware of davening Shmona Esrei, if his mind wandered while davening, which of course never happens in TA, then the person has to start Shmona Esrei all over again. These are the 9 cases of the Gemara where Hesach Hadas is discussed. Actually, there's a 10th. The Gemara Mesachos says that a person wearing tefillin must constantly be memashmish, touch and feel shel yad and sharosh. This means he must constantly keep in mind that he is wearing tefillin. He must not forget he is wearing tefillin. The Gemara there, Rabba bar Rav Huna, says that even though the Torah does not actually say this, we can figure it out from a kal v'chomer. The Kohen Gadol wears on his forehead something called a tzitz, which is a thin plate of gold with the words Kodesh Hashem engraved on it. And it has the actual name of Hashem carved into gold. What is the purpose of the tzitz? Is it just a fancy decoration? Well, in the Chumash it says, "V'haya al meizach Aaron, v'nasa Aaron es avon hakadashim asher kadishu b'nei Yisrael v'chol matos kadshem v'haya al mitzchotam l'ratzon lehem l'fnei Hashem." Which means, if Aaron the Kohen Gadol wears the tzitz on his forehead, then the tzitz will atone for any mistake made by Kohanim in the Beis HaMikdash. You see, ordinarily, if a Kohen messes up and does something wrong, like doing a carbon when it is tameh or when he is tameh, the carbon is possible. But when the Kohen Gadol wears a tzitz, the carbon is not possible because the tzitz has the power to make the carbon okay. That is the meaning of the words in the pasuk, "V'nasa Aaron es avon hakadashim asher kadishu b'nei Yisrael v'chol matos kadshem." But what about the next words in the pasuk? It says, "Haya al mitzvot tamid," which seems to mean the Kohen Gadol has to always wear the tzitz. Now what does that mean? After all, the Kohen Gadol does not go around 24/7 wearing the tzitz, does he? Rabbi Barafuna says it means that while he is wearing it, the Kohen Gadol is supposed to constantly keep in mind that he is wearing the tzitz. In other words, he is not allowed to have hesach hadas while he is wearing the tzitz. One more thing, the tzitz has two words, Kodesh Hashem. Tefillin have many parshios, right? We all know that. How many times is the name of Hashem written in the parshios of the Shel Yad and Shel Rosh? Many times. So the Kal V'chomer goes like this. If the Torah requires a Kohen Gadol to constantly think about the fact that he is wearing the tzitz, then surely someone who is wearing tefillin is required to constantly remember he is wearing tefillin. Why? Because the tzitz has only one askara, only one name of Hashem. But tefillin have many names of Hashem. In the parshios. So if you have to constantly remember you are wearing the tzitz, you definitely have to constantly remember you're wearing the tefillin. That is the Gemara Menachos. In the Gemara Yuma, there's a machlokas between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda about the tzitz. Rabbi Shimon says the tzitz works even when the Kohen Gadol is not wearing it. Rabbi Yehuda says it only works when he is wearing it. If the Kohen Gadol is not wearing it at the time some other Kohen in the Beis HaMikdash does something tameh, then the carbon is possible, and you have to start all over again with another animal or with another Kohen. That is the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon challenged Rabbi Yehuda. I can prove you wrong. Look in Yom Kippur, when the Kohen Gadol goes into the Kodesh HaKodashim wearing 4 white garments, not the tzitz. Inside the Kodesh HaKodashim, the Kohen Gadol does various things, including sprinkling the blood of the bull and the goat on the paruchas. Now, the halacha is that even if he is tameh or the blood is tameh, the avodah of the Kohen Gadol still works. It's not possible. Why? The Kohen Gadol is not wearing the tzitz at the time he goes into the Kodesh HaKodashim, but it works anyway. This proves that you do not have to be wearing the tzitz for it to work. This is the argument of Rabbi Shimon against Rabbi Yehuda. Now, in the Gemara Yuma, Rabbi Yehuda goes on to answer Rabbi Shimon's proof against him from Yom Kippur. Rabbi Yehuda says that Yom Kippur is a special case. Just because the tameh stuff is okay on Yom Kippur, even though the Kohen Gadol is not wearing the tzitz, does not prove that this would be true in other situations. How is Yom Kippur special? The answer is Tuma Hutra B'Sibor, which means the karbanos which are offered on behalf of the public are allowed to be from animals which are tameh. Now, the karbanos on Yom Kippur, which are offered on behalf of the public, the tzibor, so the fact that they are tameh does not matter. So this would not be true in other types of karbanos, which are not for the public, which are offered for an individual person. In such cases, the carbon that was tameh would be pasul unless the Kohen Gadol happened to be wearing the tzitz at the time the carbon was offered. This is the answer of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Shimon obviously does not agree. Why not? Because Rabbi Shimon does not agree that Tuma Hutra B'Sibor. Rabbi Shimon holds Tuma Dechoya B'Sibor. What that means is that really, even karbanos, like those in Yom Kippur, need to be from animals that are tahar. If the animal is tameh, the carbon ought to be pasul. It is just when the Kohen Gadol wears a tzitz, the tzitz can make the carbon okay, even though it is tameh. Got it? Good. Actually, it is not so good when you look at the Rambam. On the one hand, the Rambam says that the halacha follows Rabbi Shimon, that Toma Dechoya B'Tzibor. Well, that to mean the tzitz works even when the Kohen Gadol is not wearing it, right? On the other hand, the Rambam also says that anyone wearing tefillin is not allowed to have hesach hadas. He is not allowed to forget he is wearing tefillin, and he has to constantly touch and feel them in order to remember he is wearing them. Now, where do we get that from? From the Gemara Menachos, right? And how did the Gemara there know that you are not allowed to have hesach hadas when you're wearing tefillin? From the Kal V'chomer, remember? And what was the Kal V'chomer? It was that if you constantly have to touch and feel the tzitz when you are wearing it, then surely you must do so when you are wearing tefillin, because tefillin contain more name of Hashem than the tzitz does. Well, wait a minute. According to Rabbi Shimon, the tzitz works even when the Kohen Gadol is not wearing it, even though the Kohen Gadol is asleep, even when his mind is elsewhere. In other words, according to Rabbi Shimon, it is okay to have Hesed Hadas when you're wearing the tzitz. It works anyway. But if this is so, then there's no proof to tefillin. You can't say, since Hesed Hadas is prohibited by the tzitz, it is surely prohibited by tefillin, because you just said Hesed Hadas is not prohibited by the tzitz. Now to the Rambam. In one place, the Rambam says you are not allowed to have Hesed Hadas when you're wearing tefillin. But in another place, the Rambam says Tumah is Techoya b'tzibur, which is the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, which implies that you are allowed to have Hesed Hadas when you're wearing the tzitz. This is a contradiction. This is a famous kasha on the Rambam asked by the Shagas Ariyeh, who also asked that if the halacha really follows Rabbi Shimon, why do we say that on Yom Kippur the carbon works if the Kohen or the carbon is tamei? After all, the Kohen Gadol is not wearing the tzitz at that time. The Shagas Ariyeh answers that really you should look closely at the detailed discussion in the Gemara Yuma between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda about the words in the pasuk about the tzitz. If you do, you'll see that Rabbi Shimon is actually able to learn from the different words in the pasuk, both that the tzitz works even when it is not worn, and also that the Kohen Gadol is not permitted to have Hesed Hadas, to take his mind off the tzitz. Since Rabbi Shimon too holds that the tzitz requires that there is no Hesed Hadas, the Kal V'chomer works. The Kohen Gadol must avoid Hesed Hadas for the tzitz, and surely a person wearing tefillin must avoid Hesed Hadas. This is what the Shagas Ariyeh says. What does he mean? After all, the Kohen Gadol is not wearing the tzitz. He is not thinking about it, is he? So how can you say the tzitz works even when it is hanging on the wall, as the Gemara puts it? And then you say you have to think about it all the time. I think the answer is that when Rabbi Shimon said the halacha, Rabbi Shimon says the tzitz is mirata, even when it is being worn, he means when it is not being worn. He means that the Kohen Gadol does not actually have to wear it, but the Kohen Gadol does have to think about it, have it in mind. If the Kohen Gadol is thinking about it, if the Kohen Gadol is acting on the same degree of care that he would have when he was wearing it, then the tzitz works even when the Kohen Gadol is not actually wearing it. Thus, the Kal V'chomer is a good Kal V'chomer. One thing we learned from all this is very important to treat tefillin with kedusha. We bar mitzvah boys are just putting on our tefillin for the first time this year. It is a new and exciting experience. It is also a great responsibility. The Torah says that when tefillin are worn with the right thoughts, the enemies of the Jewish people panic and flee and do not bother us. May we all be zocheh to be worthy of this new and important mitzvah. Amen.
Amen. Mazel tov.
Let me tell you something. He understands what he just said a lot better than I understood in my time, because in the old TA, Rabbi Samson used to write it all up, or he had stencils of his face, and at least in my case, you had to memorize the whole thing. And I didn't know Yiddish that well, so 3/4 of what I was saying was just purely by rote, and I certainly had no idea what the word Hesed Hadas meant at that time. But it didn't matter. I'm going to make a point. It didn't matter, and I'll tell you why. So happens my father also said the same drush at his bar mitzvah. That's what he told me. Because he was from Minsk, and they all used to do these Shagas Ariyeh things, because the custom of saying over this is a very wide-known one that started in Minsk, because they threw the Shagas Ariyeh out of town on a Friday afternoon on a garbage truck, because he got into a big fight with them, and afterwards they felt bad about it, and then they started the custom a generation later of always saying over, something for the Shagas Ariyeh, for the history side of it. And to me, when I was a kid, it meant, the contents didn't matter, but the fact that I said the same thing or my father did, that stuck with me. It makes you feel like a piece in the chain, like a link in the chain. And I hope Moshe will feel a little bit like a link in the chain. And best thing I could look forward to is one day I should be zocheh to be at the bar mitzvah of his kids, and they'll say over the same bar. Maybe by that time the art scroll will have art scroll Shagas Ariyeh out there, and they'll have it in a nicer format.
It's coming in 2017.
The idea of, and by the way, my father's bar mitzvah was literally this month 100 years ago. My father's bar mitzvah in Russia, in Tsarist Russia, in April or May, of 1913. This is May of 2013. So that puts a little bit of a perspective on it. I'm actually 140 years old. You don't know that. Rabbi Sheftel Duberger knows the whole story. And I just want to make one more point before I would like to turn it over to him, because Moshe Ariyeh, Rabbi Duberger knows us way before you came along, and that is my father. I mean, you talk about the way Hashgacha works out, or strange facts. This month is when the camps were liberated, in April, May. Actually, today, May 6th, is VE Day, you know, when the Germans surrendered. And at the end of the war, my father was in Dachau, and it was not 90% dead, 95. It was a skeleton. And if the Americans didn't come then, even so, he barely made it. Then forget it. And people were dropping. I don't have to tell you, people were dropping right and left from the effects of the starvation. And the Dachau concentration camp was liberated by the Third Army, famous United States Third Army of General Patton. One of the soldiers in the Third Army was Karen's father. It was the other grandfather. I don't think they looked at each other. I don't think my father could probably even see. And who can imagine, you know, 50 years now, 60 years from now, they're both in Olam Amis, but you know what I mean. They're going to be looking at someone saying over something from the Shagasari or whatever in there. Life has very strange currents, and this bar mitzvah is a reflection of that. And as I said, I would like at this time to call Rabbi Neuberger. It's always a tradition in my family, since my parents got married, because Rabbi Neuberger's father was the shadchan. So they've always been in our family, simcha. It's a great honor.
Having also been a student at TA and having gone to many bar mitzvahs at the time when I was a bacher there, I had heard this shtickle from others, but I have to tell you, you added a lot more to it, because all the other 9 places where there's Hesed Hadas wasn't part of Rabbi Sampson's Yiddish rendition. It was just the first, the Hesed Hadas by Tefillin. Oid Marona V'Rabbanan, and especially Moshe Ariyeh, the Chasana Bar Mitzvah, it's really a very big pleasure and an incredible joy just to listen how you said it over. Just your presentation, of course, you are zeichet to grow up in a home where how Torah is presented is very, very special. Your father is a Meridig Talmud Chacham and a scholar, and also a person who is blessed with an incredible ability of being able to give over very succinctly the message that he wants to give over. And Baruch Hashem, we see that you have that koyach too, and hopefully you'll use it in your life very, very productively. You know, we stand now close to 2 weeks before Matan Torah, and the Bar Mitzvah Bacher today is your Kabbalah Torah, that you become a Bar Mitzvah and you are accepting upon yourself to keep the Torah, to learn the Torah, to become a Talmud Chacham. I want to share with you just an idea that I believe Rashi is very, very important for a Bar Mitzvah Bacher. The pasuk says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu came and told Moshe, and Moshe told it over to the Bnei Yisrael, and they said as follows: Hine anochi ba elecha be'av he'onon, ba'avur yishma ha'am bedabri imach v'gam b'cha yaminu lo'olam. Behold, I'm going to come to you within the cloud, And all of Klal Yisrael is going to hear, Avor Yishmael B'dabri Imach, the people should overhear that I'm talking to you. And as a result of that, they will believe in Moshe v'Torasoi forever. The Rambam brings this pasuk to tell us in the Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah that this is the basis of what is mechayev us in believing in Moshe v'Torasoi, in believing in the Torah min hashamayim. That having overheard that that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is talking to Moshe Rabbeinu. And so it seems that that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu needed out of Matan Torah. That's what he needed. It's enough if everybody will hear that I am talking to you, that ensures that forever Klal Yisrael will keep the Torah. The pasuk then goes on to tell us, Vayagid Moshe es divrei ha'am el Hashem. Moshe told back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu what the people said. Hashem didn't ask them anything. What did Moshe Rabbeinu report? Rashi tells us that Moshe Rabbeinu reported back to Hashem, you know, the people are not happy. That's not enough for us. Ritzoinenu lirais es malkeinu. We want to confront Hashem ourselves. It's not enough for us that we'll overhear Hashem talking to you. We want Hashem to address us directly. To which HaKadosh Baruch Hu answered, if that's the case, fine. V'kidashtam hayom u'mochar. You have to make yourselves prepared holy today and tomorrow. And Moshe Rabbeinu said on his own that hayom has to be k'mochar, and since part of this day was gone, so Moshe Rabbeinu converted it to the Shloshes Yimei Hagbola, the 3 days where Klal Yisrael had to prepare themselves. And as a result of that, they were zeichet to hear Anochi and Lo Yeh Lucha Mipi Hagvura, that they heard the first 2 of the Aseres HaDibros from HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly. Why do you think it happened this way? Why do you think it happened this way? Why did HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell Klal Yisrael, look, this is the way Matan Torah is going to be, and Moshe overhearing, Klal Yisrael overhearing Hashem talking to Moshe is sufficient. And then Klal Yisrael says, no, we're not satisfied, we want more. And the answer is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to establish in the very, very foundation of our Kabbalah HaTorah that when it comes to Torah, if you want more, you'll get more. There are no limits. You know, everybody, Baruch Hashem, it's very, very obvious that you, Moshe Ariyeh, are a big Balkishran, and that's fine. And that really adds an extra level of responsibility to you. What it means is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us, or wanted to instruct us, that when it comes to Torah and Aliyah in Ruchnius, when it comes to learning Torah, and it comes to growth in Torah, growth in understanding, we aren't limited by any givens. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to teach us is, Klal Yisrael, you want more? If you're mispalel for it, if you work towards it, if you prepare yourself for more, then you can always achieve more. There are no limits to what we can achieve. That is the lesson that I believe Rashi is telling us in how HaKadosh Baruch Hu established the parameters of Matan Torah. And it's a lesson to all of us that you have tremendous potential. You and all your chaverim, all your classmates, all of you boys have tremendous potential. But you gotta want. You want more, you'll get more. And that's something to have in mind on the day of your bar mitzvah. That I'm going to try, not only my best, but I'm going to try to be an overachiever. And being an overachiever means that you have to want, and you have to put in the effort. The Rebbeinu Shalom should give you the Siyata D'Shmaya that you should always be able to function on all 8 cylinders, to put out the maximum that you can. And if you'll do that, then you will achieve, you have the power and the Siyata D'Shmaya to achieve greatness. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Mazel tov.
We're just going to hear from one person right now, and then we're going to get right to the food. I know my customers. But I'd like to ask Rabbi Weisbord to say a few words, simply because he's one of the very few people that has a relationship with me and a totally separate and independent one with Karen, who he knows from a different track long before I came along, and therefore he has a real connection with our family.
I'm very flattered that you asked me to speak. Not only because you asked me, but you think that getting up here right now and preparing is something I'm capable of doing. Reb Sheftel, from this Rashi I bring the raya that Kerech was right. But that's a Bezunder Ma'aser. We'll deal with that one. Kerech was he wanted more Kedusha, so evidently he held and he lived through the fact that Klal Yisrael was told that they were limited, and Klal Yisrael said, no, we don't want to be limited, and the Rebbeinu Shalom acquiesced. So one could bring a raya l'cher that Kerech was right. But we'll leave that for Shavuos. It's a pleasure to be able to address everybody here at the Bar Mitzvah. Moshe Ariyeh, your parents, grandmother, aunts and uncles and cousins, BaYom, friends. Simcha becomes much more of a simcha when you share it with people that know you, that care about you, that are happy for you in all of your accomplishments. And certainly, as was mentioned before, becoming a bar mitzvah is one of the greatest accomplishments that a person has in their lives. I want to give the flip side of what Reb Sheftel just gave you. And you need to know both. You do have a responsibility to do all that you can and then some. The daven to the Rebbeinu Shalom to ask for Siyata D'Shmaya, to be able to do more than you think you're capable of doing, and maybe even more than you are capable of doing. And you should want to do the utmost. At the same time, I want you to know, I have it on a good and reliable sources, that the Rebbeinu Shalom really does not expect anything more from you than what you can accomplish with your tefillas and with your trying and your all the strides that you're going to make. At the end of the day, the Rebbeinu Shalom doesn't expect something from you can't do. He wants what you can do. Reb Sheftel was telling you, don't settle. Try to realize that you are capable of doing a lot of different things and in many different ways, and work on that. Work on developing and nurturing those abilities and being able to make those accomplishments a reality. But know that at the end of the day, the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from you and from me and from all of us what we're capable of doing. If you remember these two things, you will be an Eved Hashem par excellence. You will be successful not only for yourself and give yourself a sense of accomplishment and happiness and self-worth and a healthy sense of who you are, but it'll be a nachas to your family, to your parents, to your grandparents, to all of Klal Yisrael. And Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach, people will say on you, Kamayhu Yir B'Yisrael, Yirba B'Yisrael. Mazel tov.
Now I'm going to... Whoa. And now, the main course? In 5 minutes. Okay. What's that? I don't know.
There's any more speeches? You got a wife a liberal?
But I guess that music was wasn't working, so I'll just... Meanwhile, let's speak here. I guess that was a musical interlude to introduce from Schwartz, the Manalo of TA. He always gets a big reception. And I didn't know it was that big, but without any further ado, I think
Now you got it.
yeah.
It works. Mazel tov. Ari, Mazel tov. I just want to echo the words the Moshe spoke.
It's like when the shows had microphones.
That I'm so happy to be here. It's such a simcha to be here and to see all your coaches coming out tonight. Baruch Hashem. It was really a beautiful thing to experience, to see that the same word that your father had said, that Shetel, your father had said, and his father had said, and you say it with such enthusiasm. That is a beautiful thing to see. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu should continue giving you co-hosts and give you that impetus to continue growing and shining in Torah. I just want to share, because it's late, a quick little Misa that I saw in the Sefer. And to me it's very important that every Butler should know this. And we shouldn't get stuck in one place. We should know the following idea. There was a great Chassid, Shmulkim in Nikolsburg, who had a minhag that whenever he learned until he couldn't go on anymore. Meaning that he sat over the Sefer, when he couldn't go on anymore, he fell asleep. And when he did, to wake himself up again, and I heard this about the Vilna Gaon also, he put a little candle on his fingers, he went to sleep, and when the hot wax hit his fingers, he'd wake up right away and he continued to learn. He really did this for years, and really One time, Eli Malki, the Ziz, came to him to visit. And he saw that he was not sleeping and he was doing this, he had this minute. So he told him, and it was like his Rebbe, he said, you need to lay down in the bed. So what are you going to do? The Rebbe tells you have to lay in the bed. So he laid in the bed.
Where's that so funny?
Anyways, when he laid down, he fell asleep into a very deep sleep because he was so tired. He didn't wake up for many, many hours until the morning. But when he woke up in the morning, he saw something very interesting. He saw that his mind was more clear than it had ever been in his life. When he woke up, he was like thinking very deeply and clearly. He wasn't fogged over by being tired. And he said the following. He said he never realized that you can do Avodas Hashem by sleeping. He never realized, like, when you sleep, you can do Avodas Hashem. Why do I think this is important? I think it's important, Arvi, because we shouldn't get lost many times. We shouldn't get lost in the thought that I'm not doing right if I'm not doing X, Y, or Z. If I'm sleeping too much, maybe I'm not doing the right thing. If I'm running and doing something, give myself exercise, maybe that's not the right thing. You shouldn't think like that. A bacher, especially at a young age, should be thinking, you know what? Am I doing what I'm doing? Is it going to help me become a better person? Is it going to help me in my learning? Is it going to help me do things better? Will I become a better Oved Hashem? That's what we have to ask ourselves, because that's the ikr. You know, Baruch Hashem. What can I tell you? Your abilities in many different areas. You have kochos in many different areas. Besides being smart, you have other kochos in tchunas and nefesh that could be brought to the forefront. And Baruch Hashem, you come from a family that's diverse, very diverse interests, but all la'avodas Hashem. That's the commonality of everything in your family. Everything's for avodas Hashem. So Baruch Hashem, you come from here. And that, I think, is where you could go, Ari. I think that you could become, Baruch Hashem, a very big Talmud Chacham. But I think even more ikr is that I think you have the kochos be able to use everything that you have inside of you, the Shem Shemayim, to become a big Ben Torah. So, Kosh Baruch Hu should give you these kochos. I just have to say on the side, our yeshiva is so fortunate and lucky to have Rabbi Katz come in every day, teach our Bochrim. It's a schus. It's a schus for us. And I hope, Be'ezer Hashem, you follow those pathways, you continue growing, to be a nachas not only for your parents, be a nachas for Klal Yisrael, but most of all, you use all that you have for Avodas Hashem. You're sleeping and you're waking and you're playing ball and you're doing this and doing that project. When you do that, Avodas Hashem, you bring great nachas to your Avodas Shalom.
You want a consecutive translation?